Hello students, I am Dr. K. Sarojini Chakravarti, working as Assistant Professor in the Department of Botany, Government Degree College, Khairtabad, Hyderabad. In today's class, we are going to learn in detail about black stem rust in wheat. Nothing but the Puccinia, that is the pathogen name is, fungal pathogen name is Puccinia. Okay. Black stem rust in wheat is caused by the fungal pathogen Puccinia graminis triticin. Now we'll see the classification or systematic position of Puccinia. It belongs to the subdivision Basidiomycotina, class Teleomycetes, order Uridinaceae, family Pucciniaceae, and the genus is Puccinia. Puccinia is a very large genus with about 1800 species, practically distributed in all parts of the world. In India, this genus is represented by more than 147 species, which causes serious rust diseases in cereal crops like wheat, barley, oats, and maize. But we are in this class, we are going to see the disease, rust disease caused in wheat plant, and it is caused by the fungi or the pathogen Puccinia graminis triticin. Okay. Puccinia recondita, it causes brown leaf rust in wheat. Puccinia striformis, it causes yellow stripe rust in wheat. Puccinia graminis triticin, it causes black stem rust in wheat. Okay. So in wheat plant, Puccinia has 3 species which causes different rust diseases. One is brown leaf rust, another one is yellow stripe rust, third one is black stem rust. Our interest is in black stem rust in wheat, which is caused by Puccinia graminis triticin. So the pathogen, the fungal pathogen Puccinia, it is an obligate parasite and intercellular. The mycelium is intercellular. Okay, so what is an obligate parasite? Obligate parasite means it requires a living host for its survival. Okay, so it means it cannot be grown on a artificial medium. Okay. Next, Puccinia, the pathogen is heteroecious or autoecious. What is heteroecious? Heteroecious means it completes its life cycle on 2 different host plants. That is known as heteroecious. Autoecious. Autoecious means if the pathogen or the Puccinia, it completes its life cycle on a single host, then it is known as autoecious. Next, Puccinia, it may be macrocyclic or it is having microcyclic life cycle. What is macrocyclic? So macrocyclic means Puccinia is polymorphic, means in its life cycle it produces 5 different spore stages. So if all spore stages are produced in the life cycle, then it is known as macrocyclic. So microcyclic means if the first and the last spore stage are absent, then it is known as microcyclic life cycle. Okay, as I said, in microcyclic, all 5 spore stages are present. Now we'll see what are the 5 spore stages. Stage 0, iridospores. Stage 1 is teleospores. Stage 2 is basidiospores. Stage 3 is pycnospores or spermatia. Stage 4 is achiospores or acidiospores. So the life cycle of Puccinia graminis triticin in a nutshell, the fungus is polymorphic. Polymorphic means it has a morphologically it has a different phenotypes. That's why it produces 5 spore stages. Heteroecious means it completes its life cycle on 2 different host plants, and macrocyclic means all 5 spore stages are produced in the life cycle. Okay, so heteroecious means it completes its life cycle in 2 hosts. The primary host is a wheat plant. On wheat plant, it produces 2 spore stages. That is, one is iridospores and teleospores. The secondary host is barberry plant, on which it produces 2 spores, pycnospores and acidiospores. And in the soil, basidiospores are produced. Now we'll see what are the symptoms on wheat plant. On the wheat plant, we can see large, elongated, brown colored iridospistules. So these are iridospistules filled with iridospores, which appears on the stem, leaf sheath, and lamina of infected plant. The brown iridopustules later on changes into black large teliospores bearing teliospore pustules bearing teliospores. These pustules gives rusty appearance on the infected plant. That's why the disease is named as rust. Now we'll see what are the symptoms on barberry plant. Yellowish brown spots appear on the dorsal surface. So on the dorsal surface of the leaf, you can see yellowish brown spots of the infected plant, and these spots are consist of pycnia containing pycniospores. Means pycniospores are yellowish brown in color. On the ventral side surface of the infected plant or infected leaf, you can see it bears acidial cups containing acidiospores. The acidiospores are, they are almost brown in color or orangish brown in color. So this is the life cycle of Puccinia graminis streptococcus in a nutshell. Okay, so it starts with from a grass, that is a wheat plant, having iridospores. From iridospores, it goes to the next stage, that is teliospores. From teliospores, then it goes to the soil. It can't continue its life cycle in the it can't continue its life cycle in the wheat plant. So next, basidiospores are produced in the soil, and the basidiospores now they go with the alternate host, that is barberry plant, where they produce pycniospores on the dorsal side and acidial cups or acidium on the ventral side. And these acidiospores, when they are liberated from the barberry plant, again they start infecting the wheat plant with iridospores. Now we'll see each stage, each sporal stage in detail. The first one is iridospore stage. So from this in a barberry plant, acidiospores, okay, they are liberated out, and when they are liberated out, they fall on the healthy wheat plant. Okay, now it starts its life cycle with by producing dikaryotic mycelium. You know what is dikaryotic mycelium? Dikaryotic mycelium is a mycelium which consists of two genetically different nuclei present. That's why it is known as dikaryotic, N+N condition. Okay, so the dikaryotic mycelium is produced by the germination of these acidiospores or the achiospores from which are liberated from the barberry plant, or by germination of iridospores from the any other infected wheat plant. Whatever it may be, the infection it may start in either way. Okay, so the dikaryotic mycelium produces iridospores in early summer on stem and leaves in iridospori of wheat plant. Okay, so these iridospores, each so the dikaryotic mycelium, it develops and it gives rise to, in the early summer it gives rise to small stalk-like structure. Okay, so this stalk-like structure is a dikaryotic mycelium, and is here you can see two nuclei, there you can see two nuclei, and one of the cell it enlarges and it develops into iridospore. Okay, so and it has a stalk, short stalk. The mature iridospore is brown colored. It is one-celled, oval in shape, binucleate. As the mycelium is dikaryotic, that's why you have two nuclei. Binucleate, heterokaryotic structure with double layered, and outer wall is spinous. The outer exine wall is spinous. Okay, or spiny. And the inner wall, it has a germ pores, two germ pores. So here you have two lateral germ pores. Here one germ pore, in another germ pore. So in the late summer, what happens? The fungus, it produces teliospores in the same or in a separate sorus. Okay, so this binuclear iridospore, after liberating from the wheat plant, again they fall on the same wheat plant or another healthy wheat plant, and now now it starts in the late summer in the next sporal stage, that is teliospores. Okay, so the iridospores which are liberated out, again they from two germ pores you can see development of a mycelium. Okay, that mycelium, it forms a mat-like structure below the epidermis, and from that again you can see two two cell stages develop, and upper cell again it develops into teliospore. Okay, so each teliospore is bicelled, is spindle shaped, black colored, diploid nucleus with two layered. Okay, so now it is when it enters the next stage, that is the teliospore stage. The teliospore, as I said, the teliospores are here. It is bicelled, means it is not single cell, unicell, just like uridospore. It is bicell, two cell, and it is spindle shaped, and each nuclei here, they fuse together and forms a diploid nucleus. So there you have seen binucleate, binucleate stage, heterokaryotic condition, but here you will see it's not a heterokaryotic condition. Here you will see diploid nuclei, means the two nuclei, genetically two different nuclei, they fuse together and form a diploid nucleus. So this is regarding the teliospores, and teliospores are black in color and iridospores are brown in color. So because of this mixture of both the teliospores and iridospores, like brown and black color mixed together, and it forms a rusty appearance, and the disease is called rust. Okay, now the teliospores, when they liberated out, they can't continue its life cycle on the wheat plant. Now they survive, or they continue its life cycle in the soil. Okay, so in the soil, what happens on return of favorable conditions in the spring season, the teliospores, they start germinating. So it produces one germ tube from each cell. Okay, so the teliospore, it has two germ pores, one lateral and one apical. Two germ pores are present. So from each germ pore, you can see development of or production of this mycelium. Okay, so this is apical germ pore. From the apical germ pore, you can see development of a mycelium. Okay, so through the germ tube, you can see development of a mycelium. This is known as promycelium. So each cell of a teliospore gives rise to promycelium, into which diploid nucleus migrates and undergoes meiosis, forming 4 haploid nuclei. Okay, so these out of 4 haploid nuclei, 2 are of plus strains and 2 are of minus strains. As Puccinia doesn't have any, sexual differentiation is not there. So whatever nuclei is present, that nuclei gets differentiated into plus and minus strain. Now the promycelium, it divides into 4 cells by formation of transverse septa. So here you can see 4 transverse septa. Now each cell, it produces a single basidium. Okay, so each uninucleate cell, it differentiates and it develops into a single basidiospore. So here see, you can see very clearly, this is lateral germ pore and this is a apical germ pore, teliospore, and you can see this is a promycelium from the germ tube, and you can see transverse septa production, where the diploid nucleus is undergone as a meiosis, giving rise to 4 haploid nuclei, and each haploid nuclei, and along with the cell, it develops into basidiospore. So each basidiospore is small, unicellular, uninucleate, haploid, and spherical in structure. Out of 4 basidiospores, as I said, 2 develop as plus strain and 2 develop as minus strain, side by side. And when they are liberated out, now they can't continue its life cycle. So out of 4 basidiospores, 2 are plus basidiospores and 2 are minus strain basidiospores. Okay, and you can see a small stalk-like structure. This is known as stegmata. From stegmata, you can see basidiospore. So now when the basidiospore, they can't continue its life cycle in the soil. Now they are liberated out. Okay, they are discharged by they're disseminated by wind. Okay, and they start germinating on the alternate host, that is barberry plant. Okay, now it continues life cycle on the barberry plant. Okay, so on the barberry plant, now what will happen, we'll see. Okay. So it starts with the out of 4 basidiospores, 2 develop as plus strain and 2 develop as minus strain mycelium side by side on the dorsal surface of the barberry leaf. Okay, so each primary mycelium produces oval to flask-shaped pycnilium of 2 strains. So here you can see 2 flask-shaped structures. These are known as pycnidum. Okay, so this is the pycnidum of plus strain and this is the pycnidum of minus strain. So as we said, two are plus strain and two basidiospores are minus strain. So they develop in a such a way they should be side by side. Now each pycnium gives rise to pycniophores, which cuts off to produce pycniospores in chains. Each pycniospore is small, round, oval, uninucleate spore. Beside pycnidium, long hyphal branches which protrude along the ostial cord receptive hyphae are present. Okay. Now you can see. So this is a pycnidium, and it produces the pycniophores inside, and pycniospores are differentiated or develop as pycniospores. So the pycniospores are round, oval, and haploid. And along that you can see long hyphal branches, and you can see this is the receptive hyphae. These long hyphal branches are known as receptive hyphae. So receptive hyphae is to receive, or the primary function of receptive hyphae is to receive. Okay. So now what happens? Plasmogamy takes place in pycniospores. It occurs between pycniospore of male of one mating type with another type of receptive hyphae that is female. So here you will see the plus strain is produced and here minus strain is produced. Okay, we'll just think like that. This is pycniospore. So pycniospore, so here it is plus strain and it is a minus strain. And now what happens? Plasmogamy, that is one of the plasmogamy takes place in such a way the pycniospores of plus strain are received by hyphal, receptive hyphae of a minus strain, and minus strain pycniospores are received by plus strain of receptive hyphae. So like this plasmogamy takes place. Okay. After plasmogamy, so after the plasmogamy, next spermatization takes place by insects, and this spermatization it results in the formation of ascidial cup on the ventral surface of the leaf, which is filled with acidiospores. Okay, so what is happening is after plasmogamy, when exchange of plus and minus strain pycniospores and are received by receptive hyphae of opposite strain. Okay, so the two nuclei there, okay, they enter in, and these two nuclei they won't fuse together, but it forms a mycelium which reaches the ventral surface of the barberry leaf, and on the ventral surface they develop as ascidial cup. Okay, they develop as ascidial cup. Now, what is spermatization? So, spermatization is nothing but when spores are released, the whatever pycniospores are there, it secretes there's a pycnidium, it secretes a nectar drops which attracts insects, and the spores of one strain are transferred to the hyphae of the opposite strain by insects. So, this process is known as spermatization. So, this is spermatization. So through spermatization, you can see through insects, the sperms or pycniospores, they reach the other opposite strain hyphae. So this is known as so plus is received plus is it receives the minus spermatia, and minus hyphae receives the plus spermatia. Okay, or pycniospores. So like this spermatization takes place. Okay. Now, these they won't fuse together. The two nuclei, see, the plus and minus nuclei, they won't fuse together. Okay, and this now it forms a dikaryotic mycelium. Okay, so this dikaryotic mycelium is formed on the ventral surface of the barberry leaf. Okay, so it forms a proascidia on reaching the other surface of the leaf, and the proascidia is formed. It appears as a globous mass of hyphae. Now it forms the next, it goes to the next stage, develops into the next, that is ascidium or ascidial cup formation takes place. Okay, so each ascidiospore is it is unicellular, binucleate, heterokaryotic, yellowish orange colored, and possess two wall layers. Why it is binucleate? Because it is binucleate because the two opposite nuclei they won't fuse together. They are separate and they are form a dikaryotic. That's why it is binucleate. Okay. Now these ascidiospores they germinate on the wheat plant as uridospores when they are liberated from the barberry plant, and the life cycle continues. So this is how a life cycle of Puccinia takes place. Okay. So this is the life cycle of Puccinia in a nutshell. So this is a wheat plant. On the wheat plant, it starts its life cycle either by germination of acidospores, which are liberated from the barberry plant, or any infected spores are there, infected plant. From there again the infection starts. It starts with the but dikaryotic mycelium, and it gives to the development of iridospores. And after iridospores, iridospores are unicellular and binucleate, which are brown in color. Now, it happens in the early summer. In the late summer, in the same plant, when iridospores are liberated out, they develop into bicelled, diploid, nucleated teleospores, which are brown in color. After that, they can't continue its life cycle. The teleospores, they are liberated out into the soil, and in the soil, they continue its life cycle, giving rise to basidiospores, unicellular haploid basidiospores. And these basidiospores are differentiated into plus and minus strains. And these basidiospores, they are disseminated by wind and they reaches the alternate host, that is barberry plant. In the barberry plant, these basidiospores, it continues its life cycle, producing pycnidiospores or pycnidium or spermogonium, giving rise to pycniospores or spermatia, which are plus or minus strain. And these are spermatization takes place, results in the formation of again dikaryotic mycelium on the dorsal surface of on the ventral surface of barberry plant, giving rise to acidium or acidial cup. In the acidial cup, they are differentiates into acidiospores. Acidiospores are again, they are dikaryotic in nature, means they are binucleate, they are not different. So like this, in Puccinia, the life cycle continues. In next class, we'll see. And this Puccinia is, in examination point of view, also it's an important essay question. So that's why, if you know the life cycle, if you know what is happening, what is the first stage and what is the last stage and what appears in all the 5 stages, then it is very easy to write your answer. In the next class, we'll go with another topic. Thank you.